Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Be the Thermostat, Not the Thermometer Thermostat Tuesday Talk. I'm Dr. Tron Young. Let me ask you something. What happens after you accomplish your biggest goal? Then what? You earn the degree, you receive the promotion, you win the award, you write the book, you reach the milestone you've spent years pursuing, and then almost immediately another goal appears, another opportunity, another challenge, another version of you that life is asking you to become. But why? Why? Because success was never meant to be a finish line. Success is a way of living. It's a commitment to keep learning, keep growing, and keep becoming. So today's Thermostat Tuesday talk is a simple reminder. Success isn't a destination, it's a daily decision. And real success is not only about what you accomplish, success is about who you become while pursuing what matters. John Maxwell has long taught that success is a process. While becoming a certified John Maxwell leadership coach, hearing that statement changed the way I think about leadership. Because if success is only a destination, what happens after you arrive? What happens after graduation? What happens after promotion? What happens after you write the book? What happens after you receive the recognition? If success ends at the accomplishment, then growth ends there too. But thermostat leaders understand something different. Growth never graduates. You never receive a diploma that says you have learned everything leadership will require of you. You will never reach a position where reflection is no longer necessary. You will never become so successful that feedback is no longer valuable. See, leadership is continual calibration. Every season asks different questions. Every challenge develops different muscles. And every opportunity reveals another level of leadership. The skills that brought you to this moment may not be enough to carry you into the next one. That doesn't mean you weren't prepared. It means you are still becoming. The best leaders I know never walk into a room announcing, I arrived. They walk into the room asking, what can I learn? They remain curious, they remain humble, they remain teachable. Because leaders who stop learning eventually stop leading. Now, people sometimes see the accomplishment and connect it to my journey. They see I was Illinois Middle School Principal of the Year, our National Distinguished Principal, the keynote stages I've been blessed to be a part of, the book that I was able to release, the podcast, the consulting and speaking opportunities. I am grateful for every one of those moments. But what people don't always see are the early mornings before sunrise and the late nights when everyone's sleeping. They don't understand the conferences where I was sitting in the front row taking notes while other people were networking in the hallway. They don't see the books filled with highlights and questions and ideas written in the margins. They don't hear the coaching conversations from my mentors. They don't witness the difficult feedback. They don't see the mistakes, the moments of uncertainty, the private reflection, or the continual decision to become just a little bit better than I was the day before. See, awards recognize moments, but growth happens on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. It happens when nobody is watching. It happens when there is no applause. It happens when you decide to read instead of scroll. When you ask the difficult question instead of pretending you already know the answer. When you examine your mistakes instead of defending them. When you protect time to think, reflect, and learn. That is where leadership is built. Not only on the stage, not only during the celebration, not only when someone hands you an award. Leadership is built in the daily decisions that prepare you for moments you cannot see coming. See, that brings us to a little bit of research. John Maxwell teaches that growth must be intentional. People do not automatically improve simply because time passes. Experience alone does not guarantee growth. We grow when we take time to examine our experiences, learn from them, and make the necessary adjustments. And I will add this through the thermostat leadership lens. Leaders don't accidentally become thermostats, they intentionally calibrate themselves over and over and over again. I mean, think about this. Think about an actual thermostat. A thermostat doesn't set the temperature once and assume the setting will be right forever. It continues to check the environment. It recognizes when conditions has changed and then it responds. It adjusts, it calibrates. Leadership works the same way. The thermostat never assumes yesterday's setting is automatically right for today's environment. And one of the greatest dangers in leadership is believing that yesterday's success guarantees tomorrow's influence. It doesn't. Yesterday's success doesn't eliminate today's work. Every new season asks a new question. Every new team requires a new approach. Every new challenge requires another level of humility. What worked with one group of people may not work with the next. What energized your organization last year may not be what people need this year. What made you successful in one position may not prepare you for every demand of the next position. That is why thermostat leaders remain teachable. They listen, they reflect, they invite honest feedback. They ask themselves whether the temperature they are setting is producing an environment where people can flourish. And when the answer is no, they don't blame the room. They calibrate their leadership. This is where today's lesson connects with the one major pillar that I stand on, and that is consistency. See, sometimes we misunderstand consistency. We think consistency means doing the exact same thing in the exact same way forever. But consistency is not stubborn repetition. Consistency is remaining committed to your purpose while continuing to improve your practice. It means your values remain steady even when your methods must change. It means your commitment remains strong even as your understanding continues to grow. Thermostat leaders are consistent in one thing above all else: they refuse to stop improving. See, a couple years ago, my youngest son wanted to do some push ups with me. Then my older son joined in, and eventually my wife joined in too. At first, I thought I was just teaching my family about exercise and this new discipline of working out that I found. Looking back, I realized we were learning something much bigger. It wasn't just teaching the push ups, I was modeling growth. They were watching me commit to something, they were watching me to keep showing up, they were watching me work through discomfort, and eventually they wanted to participate. That experience reminded me that leadership is contagious, and so is learning. People may listen to what leaders say, but they pay much closer attention to what leaders repeatedly model. If you want the people around you to grow, let them see you growing. If you want your team to be open to feedback, let them see you receiving feedback. If you want your children to become lifelong learners, let them see you reading, studying, asking questions, and changing your mind when you learn something new. We cannot demand growth from other people while remaining committed to our own comfort. Every person who leads an environment has a responsibility to keep becoming. And the more responsibility you carry, the more intentional your growth must become. Because growth isn't optional when people depend on you. Your family deserves a growing version of you. Your students deserves a growing version of you. Your staff deserves a growing version of you. Your organization deserves a growing version of you. You don't have to know everything, but you must remain willing to learn. You don't have to be perfect, but you must remain willing to reflect. You don't have to change everything overnight, but you must remain willing to make the necessary adjustments. The greatest leaders never stop becoming. So let me give you 4 questions to consider this week. 1. Where have I become too comfortable? 2. What am I currently learning? 3. Who is helping me grow? And finally, what leadership muscle needs strengthening in this season? Now, don't rush past those questions. Sit with them, write down your answers, and be honest with yourself. Growth begins when honesty replaces image management. Now, here's your thermostat challenge for this week. Read 1 chapter, listen to 1 podcast, ask 1 mentor 1 difficult question, and then spend 10 uninterrupted minutes reflecting on what you are learning. That may not sound revolutionary, but growth is rarely found in 1 giant leap. Growth is found in intentional deposits. 1 page, 1 question, 1 conversation, 1 adjustment. Repeated consistently over time, those small deposits eventually shape your character, strengthen your leadership, and expand your influence. So before we leave this week, it's time for this week's thermostat tune-up. First, check the temperature. Ask yourself, am I growing at the same pace as my leadership responsibilities are growing? That is an important question because your responsibilities will continue to expand whether you are preparing for them or not. Now, after you reflect, make the adjustment. Schedule 1 intentional growth appointment this week. Not another meeting, not another obligation, an appointment with your future. Put it on your calendar. Protect that time. Read, reflect, learn, write, think. Give yourself space to become the leader your next season will require. And here's today's thermostat truth. Healthy leaders grow before they're forced to. Don't wait for a crisis to teach you what reflection could have revealed. Don't wait for failure to expose an area you already know needs attention. Don't wait until the room is uncomfortable before checking the temperature. Grow now. Adjust now. Prepare now. So go ahead, prepare. And as you're growing and adjusting and preparing, take time to teach someone something you've recently learned. Share a new idea with your team. Talk about a lesson with your family. Encourage another leader. Pass along a book, a podcast, or a question that challenged you. Because one of the fastest ways to deepen your own growth is to help someone else grow. Success is not only what you collect, it is what you contribute. It is not only the position you reach, it is the person you become. So keep learning, keep reflecting, keep adjusting, keep becoming. This has been another Thermostat Tuesday Talk. Remember, thermometers measure where things are, but thermostats continually adjust for where things need to go. Ladies and gentlemen, keep learning, keep growing, keep becoming. Wherever you lead, whatever room you enter, whatever challenge you face, be the thermostat and not the thermometer. I'm Dr. Tron Young. The temperature is now set. Go be the thermostat and not the thermometer.